1.2 Business structure. Economic sectors. Primary sector. This sector includes the extractive industries that acquire raw material from naturally available resources, example, agriculture, mining, etc. Secondary sector. It comprises of the manufacturing industries that convert raw material into semi-finished or finished goods, example, textile industry. Tertiary sector. This represents all kinds of services such as banking, retailing, etc. The significance of these three sectors varies from country to country, depending on factors such as availability of resources, size of the population, etc. Public and private sectors. The public sector comprises of businesses owned and controlled by the government. It operates for the welfare of the community and pursues profit as only a secondary motive. It means that a public sector organization, often known as a public corporation, is responsible for providing certain essential facilities to the masses, and it will continue to do so even if it does not prove to be profitable. Pakistan Railways is a relevant example in this context. Comparison of privatization and nationalization. Privatization is a process in which state-owned assets are sold to the private sector, example, Pakistan Telecommunication Limited. The advantages of privatization are: the sale of state-owned assets generates income for the government that would be used to provide public and merit goods to the masses. The company's primary motive becomes profit as compared to society's welfare. This leads to greater competition, increasing the efficiency level. These businesses will be more responsive to consumers' needs and wants. Management will be freed from unnecessary political interference and can easily take decisions on purely commercial grounds. However, this system is said to have the following drawbacks. The private sector pursues profit as the primary motive and tends to ignore social welfare by not taking social costs into account. It leads to creation of private monopolies against which consumers have inadequate protection. When operated by private individuals, any parts of the business which make a loss will be closed down. This appears to have happened in case of public transport in numerous countries. Some bus services have been stopped as they were not that profitable. This leads to unemployment. Privatization has promoted capitalism worldwide and the gap between the rich and the poor has widened. Legal structures. Sole proprietorship. It is an unincorporated business owned by a single individual with unlimited liability. The term unlimited liability means that a sole trader is liable or fully responsible to pay off his debts, failing which, the creditors have the right to take over his personal assets or belongings in order to recover the amount. Sole proprietorship is the oldest and the simplest form of business and is typical of small retail outlets. Advantages. The formation and dissolution of a sole proprietorship does not involve any major or complicated legal or technical formalities. The owner enjoys a high degree of flexibility in decision-making and there is no profit sharing. Drawbacks. The sole proprietor may find it difficult to expand the business due to limited capital. There might be a lack of specialization since he has to handle all aspects of business himself and is overworked. He has an unlimited liability and losses cannot be shared. Partnership. It is a form of business in which 2 to 20 individuals decide to run a business under unified control. Active partners participate in all business activities on a regular basis, whereas a sleeping partner only makes a monetary investment in anticipation of a monetary return, and is not concerned with the day-to-day running of the business. Advantages. There are additional funds available and workload as well as losses can be shared. This often leads to specialization. Drawbacks. A partnership may end up in conflicts and a disagreement due to the difference in opinion of partners on various issues. Under normal circumstances, partners have an unlimited liability. Profit sharing can also be regarded as a disadvantage. Joint stock company. This is an incorporated business in which a large number of individuals contribute towards a joint stock or a pool of money. The directors and shareholders have a limited liability. A JSC is further classified into public and private limited companies. A public limited company offers its shares on the stock exchange in order to raise funds, whereas in case of a private limited company, the shares only change hands within a small group of close associates. Significance of limited liability. Limited liability signifies that the liability of the owner is limited to the extent of his investment. This prominent feature of limited companies attracts people to invest more in these companies. In case of liquidation, when the company is unable to pay off its debts, they are not liable to lose their personal possessions. Conversion of a private limited company into a PLC, analysis. If the owners of a private limited company decide to go public, they wish to enjoy the following benefits. A substantial amount of money can be raised from the sale of shares to the general public. Production costs may be lower as firms will gain economies of scale due to expansion. PLCs are in a position to dominate the market because of their size. PLCs can raise finance easily also because banks are willing and keen to offer loans to such well-established large-scale business organizations, financial economies of scale. However, it is important not to overlook the following possible drawbacks. The setting up costs can be very high, running into millions of pounds in certain cases. Since anyone can buy their shares, it is possible for an outside interest to take control of the company. All the company's accounts can be inspected by members of the public. Competitors may be able to use some of this information to their advantage. They have to publish more information than private limited companies. They are not able to deal with their customers at a personal level, owing to their size. There may be divorce of ownership and control, which might lead to the interests of the owners being ignored to some extent. It is argued that many of these companies are inflexible due to their size. They might find change difficult to cope with. Multinationals. Multinationals are large-scale, well-established businesses with their headquarters in one country and operating through a network of production plants and/or branches in different parts of the world, example Unilever, Microsoft, etc. These must not be confused with local or national businesses that operate on a limited scale, catering to the needs of customers in a particular town or country respectively. Advantages to multinationals. MNCs are in a position to enjoy a variety of economies of scale, including purchasing, financial, risk-bearing and technical economies, due to their rapid growth. They are fully aware of their importance to the economy of the where they are investing and can sometimes pressurize the government to show flexibility in its policies regarding key areas such as taxation, environment laws, etc. Multinationals often exploit the resources of developing countries and have an access to cheap factors of production. Drawbacks to multinationals. Management problems may arise for an MNC since they usually function on an exceptionally large scale. Nestlé, for instance, has a workforce of almost 500,000 and deals in almost 1,200 different products in over 100 countries. Sometimes, the lack of sufficient amount of local knowledge can also create problems for such companies. It has also been observed that unfavorable political, national or global events may have a negative impact on the performance of certain MNCs, as seen in the case of the airline industry after the incident of 9/11. Advantages to the country. Developed as well as developing countries encourage foreign investment since it usually accelerates the rate of economic growth. Countless employment opportunities are created as they offer jobs to the locals. These multinationals are responsible for introducing new technology in these countries, which is not only in the interest of the customers but acts as a source of ideas for domestic industries also. Standard of living can be raised since these companies add a touch of comfort and convenience to the lifestyle of the masses. Moreover, the government generates a substantial amount of revenue through taxes paid by these multinationals. The operations of such companies in a particular region increase the confidence level of other foreign investors, and they are also encouraged to explore new markets. Drawbacks to the country. Multinational corporations, due to their financial and technological superiority, create serious problems for the local competing firms. Customers prefer products offered for sale by these reputable organizations, minimizing the chances of success of the domestic industry. As discussed above, MNCs are also known for exploiting the natural and human resources of developing countries, in addition to exerting undue pressure on the government for relaxing rules and regulations, especially for them. Moreover, some multinationals may show disregard towards the social, cultural, or religious beliefs of the local residents and get involved in unsuitable or inappropriate production and marketing activities.